Definitely. So I suffer panic attacks when I was young. So actually panic was developed with me maybe 7, 8 years old. But when I was 9, it's become so severe that I cannot really kind of like be with the people. If the new people, the stranger comes in my hometown, I cannot go out of my door, and a lot of pain, like tight around my neck, cannot breathe. Lot of thought in emotion. The monkey mind become crazy. So then I discussed with my mom. So she recommend to learn meditation from my father. So for me, what I was doing with my panic attacks is two things. Maybe running away from my panic attacks or fighting. I really want to get rid of my panic attacks. I remember that sometime I ran into the forest, deep, kind of like dark forest, and I ran there. And for a few minutes, it's quite okay. Then panic come there also. I ran into the cave. Panic followed me there. I hiked the mountain on the top. I went when I on the top, panic followed me there. So then, no matter what I do, it doesn't help. So then, when I begin to learn meditation from my father, my first question is how I can get rid of my panic attacks. And my father said, don't. Then I thought, then I will not learn meditation from you. And he said, trust me, no need to get rid of panic attacks. So then I said, why? So then he told me about the innate, this nature. So we have so many names, sometimes what we call basic innate goodness, the original purity, your true nature. So he give me example like sky and the cloud. So for example, sometime we have very strong storms, tornado, hurricane, pollution in the sky, but the sky is always cannot be polluted by pollution or storms. These storms cannot change the nature of sky, no matter what happens. Sky is always beyond. But at the same time, we have these severe storms can occur in the sky. So my father said, your panic attacks is like storm in the sky, and our true nature is like sky itself. So he asked me to do one exercise to watch the storm. So I was born in the Himalayan mountain. We have sometimes crazy storm comes, thunderstorm. When the thunder comes, entire mountain will shake. So I was waiting for the storm. So when I wait for storm didn't come. And I wait. Finally, after a few weeks later, one huge storm came. I was quite happy. And then entire sky is full of dark cloud and lightning, and then there's a lot of red flash everywhere like burning fire, and the entire mountain is shaking. Then it's all gone. So I know that all these storms, these clouds cannot change the sky. So I was quite happy, and I report back to my father. He said, yeah, that's true. So now he said, let's discover this inner sky with us. So then he said, he teach me the step-by-step techniques how to recognize this inner sky. So normally the inner sky has three union qualities: awareness, love and compassion, and the wisdom. So these three things are inseparable. Fundamental quality of our mind has awareness, love and compassion, wisdom, 24 hours. First time when he told me this, I cannot believe. I thought it's impossible. I have these panic attacks. How come I have this wonderful nature with me? But then slowly, slowly, I learned this from him. So this wonderful nature, we don't need to look for this wonderful nature because it's already there. And you don't need to get rid of any bad things because this inner sky is beyond cloud, beyond clashes, beyond panic. So no need to do anything. The important thing is first we need to recognize, then we need to know how to be with it. So this is the really traditional, the teachings about how to find the real safe place, the real home that within ourselves.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. It's such a beautiful image, this idea of the inner sky. Richie, to turn it back to you, I know you've had some really interesting turning points in your own life, in your own experience that have shifted you out of the problem, solving problems, fixing everything, focusing on the negative to a different perspective. And I wonder if you could share a little bit about your take on this and how we get stuck in this, oftentimes this endless quest to fix ourselves and fix the world.
Yeah, thank you for that. When I began my career, I began with a simple question, which was, why is it that some people are more vulnerable to life's challenges, and why are others more resilient? And I had the aspiration for my science to be helpful to people from the very early stages. And I thought that the best way to do this was to focus on the problems because that's where people were suffering. And so I dedicated the early part of my career to focus on the brain networks that were associated with anxiety and depression and stress, and with the thought that if we can figure out what's different about these brain networks, we can fix them and make the depression and anxiety and stress go away. And then when I first met His Holiness the Dalai Lama challenged me, and he was really curious why I spent so much time focusing on these negative qualities, trying to fix them. And he said, why not use the same tools of modern science to focus on compassion and love and wisdom? And it was a wake-up call for me. I really had not thought it was possible. And um, the science, I think most people would agree, has shown that we made some progress in characterizing anxiety and depression, and that we can apply the same tools to the study of these positive qualities of the mind. But then what became even more apparent was there was something that took me a while to appreciate in His Holiness's comment to me. Really took me many years to appreciate, and it really wasn't until I met Mingyur Rinpoche and really started practicing in Mingyur Rinpoche's tradition that I had the experiential glimpse that wow, that we actually have these qualities within us, and that the practices are designed to help us become more familiar with the true nature of our own mind. And then the science was beginning to show the same thing, that when we study, and we'll talk about this later in this series, but when we study infants, for example, we can see the beginnings of compassion, even in very young infants. And this is our natural disposition. It's not something that we are imposing, but this is our true nature. And when we engage in practices to nurture these qualities, we're not creating these qualities out of nowhere, but rather we're seeing the inner sky and simply strengthening our capacity to recognize that these qualities are there, and so that they become more accessible and more spontaneously available as we are navigating in our daily life. And so this really became a critical turning point. And it's still the case, I think, that Western psychology and psychiatry and medicine is still very much focused on the negative. And this approach, however, is actually proving to be not just a radical and different approach, but as we will share over the course of the next few weeks, the science is actually beginning to show that these strategies work, that they lead to a kind of enduring change that may be even more enduring than the model that is focused on fixing what may be wrong. And so it's an exciting time in this work, and one I think that gives us a real sense of hope about the future.
To go back to this metaphor that Rinpoche that you introduced of the sky and the clouds, a very common classical metaphor, but nonetheless, it's so helpful because if you look at your life, I think for most of us, I'll certainly speak for myself here, so much of our lives is about trying to control the weather. We're so fixated on the weather patterns of our experience, whether it's what's happening in the world around us, what's happening in our relationships, what's happening in our jobs, or what's going on internally, all of the inner reactions, the thoughts, the emotions. And a lot of the things we do in our lives are basically trying to control that, trying to get it to some level of calmness or equilibrium or whatever it is we think we're looking for. But the blind spot is we're totally out of touch with the sky. And that's again, the invitation with this particular approach. It's that you actually don't need to control the weather. In fact, that's a losing proposition. We've all tried that. In fact, we've all tried that our entire lives. And we all know it just does not work. At best, we can get it together for a little bit. But because it's all based on causes and conditions, it's all based on habits of mind, it's going to change. So at best, we can maybe get it somewhat more manageable, but it's fundamentally not within our control. This approach is just to leave the weather patterns of our experience as they are and to explore the sky, to explore more fundamental qualities of our own inner experience, again, that we're usually not so aware of, not so in touch with. But as both Richie and Rinpoche have been talking about, through the lens of science and through the lens of these ancient teachings, it's not a matter of creating some quality we don't have. It's more a matter of bringing something into focus. It's almost like it's been on the periphery of our vision and we just can't see it clearly. And we're just learning to orient to it, to bring it into focus so we can experience it directly. So we have all these esoteric terms like it's your true nature, the essence of the mind. We can talk about all of these sometimes abstract sounding words, but what it's all pointing to are qualities that are always available to us. And that's maybe what we can think about. What does this actually mean to say that this is our true nature, or it's the true nature of mind? My anxiety as a kid, when I experienced that was changing. I wasn't always anxious. And even when I was anxious, the experience of anxiety was very different from one moment to the next. But if I had known how to look at the time, there was a knowing quality, an awareness that was there, like a thread running through all of those experiences. So that awareness is more fundamental in the sense that it is always there. We can always bring that into focus, regardless of what we're experiencing. Whereas other things that maybe are part of our lives and part of our experience aren't so fundamental because they're changing, because they're based on causes and conditions. They're based on habits that themselves are conditioned. So here again, we're just learning to tune in to these very subtle qualities of our experience, which we can call our true nature, because they're always there for us. Awareness is one of those, love and compassion. It's just like the natural warmth of that awareness. And there's an insight, a clear seeing that, again, we can always tap into. This is not so helpful as a belief system. And the whole point is not to adopt a new belief system. It's rather to learn to experience this. And Richie, you just spoke to this. How do we actually bring that into focus? How do we attune to this? So Rinpoche, of course, you're loved around the world as being able to guide others to an experience of this. I wonder if you could just guide us through a little experience so maybe we could get a taste for what we're talking about here.
Yes, of course. So actually, as both of you mentioned, this wonderful quality with us 24 hours, and it is like candle lamp. So the lamp has three aspect of quality, like illuminating light, one, and it is warm, it has heat, two, and it is yellow color, three. And these three things inseparable with the flame, right? Same thing, our mind has this luminous quality called awareness. Then there's a warm love and compassion. Then there's a wisdom. So all these are there with us. But the problem, there's one problem normally. So the problem is it is beyond concept. So intellectual mind cannot really grab it, cannot really pinpoint. So when the intellectual mind look at our own mind, then what we see is only thought, emotion, perception, memory, blah, 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 yada, yada, that's all. But there's one good news is we can experience these qualities, this awareness, this luminosity, we can experience. So maybe let's try to experience it together. So normally, when I teach this, there are two steps. The first one is, I just want to let you practice that just our normal way, just relaxing. And this is not even meditation. So because of this luminous mind is beyond concept, so we need to have two steps, otherwise we cannot experience. So therefore the first one is just preparation. So I want all of you rest your mind just like after your exercise. Maybe you do physical exercise, half hour, and then you're tired. Right? You know how to do that? Or after the work, Friday afternoon, 5, 6 p.m., whatever your time you finish your work, when you leave your office, like that, right? Or after cooking and you eat, tastes good, wash dishes, or after the shower, or after the meditation. Maybe some of you practice meditation, I meditate. And after finishing meditation, for me, I experienced that after meditation is really good. Or after the deep breathing, maybe we can try to do deep breathing together. So breathing from your nose and from your mouth. Relax. There is a gap, right? Rest space in between the breath. And you don't need to meditate. So let's try this together. So you can keep your body loosely straight, relax. And first feel your body. Just feel your body through temperature, or feel your body through gravity, light and heavy, whatever you want. Just feel your body for a few seconds. And now just relax your mind, and you don't need to meditate. Because you're not meditating, you don't need to get rid of thought. All the bala bala yada yada, let them come, let them go. Don't care about those. Now we will do deep breathing together. So breathe from your nose. Rest. Now natural breathing, and continue, just rest your mind and body together. And no need to even feel your body. Just let your mind as it is. Feel body okay, not feel body okay, thought is okay, no thought is okay, everything is okay. Now again, slowly deep breathing in again. Natural breathing again. Okay, now if you close your eyes, you can open your eyes. How was it? So how many of you feel a little bit calm? Raise your hand in front of the screen. Hopefully you raise hand. Okay, so now we have second step. So normally before the second step, I share one big secret. The big secret is actually there's no second step. That being with our fundamental quality of the mind is already done. So what we call open awareness or supportless meditation. So when you be as it is, though you cannot really grab it, there's sense of being, you're not totally lost. Awareness is there. And at the same time, there's some kind of well-being. There's some kind of like feeling of love or some kind of like sweetness, okayness. So there's a loving kindness. Though there's no object, there's no particular focus. And also illuminating, right? You can still see, hear, thought comes and goes. So there's the wisdom. So this three quality is already present that time, though we may not really grasp, cannot find it, but you experience it. So hopefully this will be the kind of like seed experience of the innate well-being, innate quality that of course we can more discuss this in the future.